Okay, thank you. It's okay, fine. We can start. Maybe if others might join us, not an issue. So this is not needed for us. We need PyCharm. That's all. Okay, now we don't need Selenium. We need our this one. And we are working with files. So no problem. I think I just shared you that's Python project for us actually. So you can see here. So I'll put it in a document and share again. So that would be a better thing for us. Okay. So now we are working with file handling. Today we try to understand as much as possible. In the last session, we just had a simple introduction like how to create a file and open it, and then how to close it. This is what we discussed yesterday. But today we try to get more deeper this thing on files. Okay. So actually, you have to understand not just this regular files, playing with text files, all that. You need to play with again the CSVs, Excel, right? This is also important in understanding how to play with CSV files, play with Excel files. All this is important apart from text files. So anyhow, once we keep doing, we come to know about all that, not a problem. So let me just take you to the file thing, file operations. Let's go down and find, yeah, you can see here. So we just had intro yesterday and then how to open a file and what happens if we open a file in exclusive mode again. And we just have observed it raises some error and we have seen that. That's all about this. Okay, and the different file modes we have seen. But anyhow, we understand more while discussing and absolute path versus relative path. All that we has discussed in yesterday's session. Now, once we open file to do this file operations, right? So we need to learn like what kind of methods we need to use or functions we should use. Like, to read file, we use some method like read. To write file, we use some method like write. Right. Similarly, like this. So there are multiple methods to do this file operations. For opening and closing, we already know that we use open method to open a file. Right, if it is already existing, or otherwise create and open a new file, and to close it, just we know close method. Now we are going to understand about other methods in files. Okay, like read. Let's continue one by one. Read, write, up and all that one by one. We can start see observing. Okay, so this is about read method. Next, another method of files is nothing but read here. So what is read here? Read, as name says, right, is used to read some content from a file or data from a file. That's all. And we have different, versions of read method here. You can see we have different types of read methods otherwise. Read directly, read of in how many characters you want to read line, reading just few lines of a line of text from file. Read lines, reading lines of text. It looks like read and read lines will be similar. We'll go one by one, not a problem. So these are all different, what shall we say, friends, read methods in files actually. Okay, these are all different read methods. So what read is used to read some data from a file here. We'll go one by one. So now let's start with read method. Let's understand all these different read methods. And each method is different from the other, even though the name of these methods looks similar. But there is some difference between one method to another method. That is important, friends. Okay. So that is the idea. So now this is what we are doing now. This is the syntax. Just if you want to read something, we just need to say read, that's all. So this is Okay, this is anyhow, we'll talk about program later. Let's understand this. So let's start with this method read here. This is how the syntax look like. Just that file pointer or file handle dot that read. If you just call like this, and we can start using read method. This will read whole data from a file and return it. That's all. So what this read method will do when you apply this, just understand first. Then we'll apply this with a program. We will implement this in a program so that you get a clear idea about this read. Okay. So now, if you see this, just if you say that read on some file, it reads that you can see read and return entire data in a file in the form of a string. How much our data is there in the file? That whole file is written in the form of a string here. That's about read operation in files. I hope you are clear. Right. So what is read means? Read reads data from a file or the entire data from a file, the whole file otherwise, and returns that data in the form of a string. Remember, this return type is important. You need to remember this. Right, just remember this. Okay, we'll apply this. Maybe let's do a small program now. We'll create a file of ourselves. Okay, shall we create a data file like this? Simple text file. Okay, let's create simple text file. What's there in that? So how to create it? You can follow the steps. This is so simple. Open a notepad. If it is text file, we don't need anything special. Just a notepad alone is enough for us. And then what you do is just open a notepad and take one more new file here. Copy this data. Maybe if you want, you can also use the same data for testing purpose. Just pasting in the chart box. If you want, you can use this data. Okay. Right. Okay. So just open notepad and paste that data there and save it as some employee dot txt. I'm saving it in Python folder. Already we are selecting it as text file. We don't need to use extension if you say .txt, but still if you want, you can, right, how to save a text file. Now save this. So we have created a text file. Now these are the methods which we are using for reading file. What is that? Either one is read default without any argument here. The next one is read of n with some argument here. N means how many characters you want to read. That is the meaning of this. Read line means reads a line of text. And read lines means reads lines, each data in the form of line. We'll apply all this line by line. This reads all the data line by line here. But no problem. We will apply each and every method and check the behavior of each method. So nothing like we have any problem to understand this. Okay, so we have created a file now. Let's do one thing. Let's just implement step by step, like how to open it, how to read it, and then after reading, how to print it, and then how to close the file. Let's do all these steps one by one. But you understood, right? How to read a file, data from a file. If you apply just this method, this reads the whole data and returns that. That's all. Right. So we can do so many operations once we read actually. Suppose we'll work with read method now. But before we discuss read, you are clear, right? What read does? Read and return entire data in a file in the form of a string. Remember, I'm trying to repeat it again and again, just to make sure that you are clear on what is the purpose of read here. Okay, we'll just do a small example to demonstrate read method first. Okay, and then we apply read of n or something. I'll show one by one. Okay. What are the steps here we follow to read files? And I'll give in the form of steps to read a file. So what is this now? We are doing a simple project on files now. So what is that project? A simple project one on files. What is the project one? Uh, we already created a simple text file. Open a file and read. So the first one is step one. Open a file. This is step one. So for that, you know what to do. Just a minute, friends. Sorry, friends. I think there is some noise coming outside. So let's have a very detailed discussion today. So we'll go step by step. See, I hope you are clear, right? Why we need read method? Just see, it's a simple thing. It is just to read some data. Let's see some project. What is that project? Open and read content from a file. You can also try parallel. That's why I gave you that data to you. These are the steps. First, open a file to read data from a file. Okay. And then return that data. How to return, we'll see. If you don't have idea, we'll see. If you already know that, then you can try it, no problem. Number three, display those contents. Displaying just using print, that is not really difficult, okay. And finally, close the file. So these are the steps we have to follow for this small project, okay. What is this project? Open and read contents of a file. Or from a file, of a file, anything is fine, friends. This is a simple project. Now we are demonstrating usage of read method, right? I hope this is all clear till this, friends. So let's what we do. Let's jump into the implementation of this small project on this files, right? So let's see. Open our this thing. Create a simple. We can use same file test or this thing, or otherwise create a new file, new program. What is it? Python file. Employee file handling. We'll just name like this. On which data? On employee. Enter. Okay. Now what we do? First thing, we have created a text file, right? Because we are not writing data now. We are just testing how to use read method first. So generally, most of the time, more than writing data to a file, we open file and read it and then do some operations. But we learn everything, not like we just only do read or we just only do write. We try to understand everything. So in all directions. I hope you are clear. Understood now? So let's get into the program. What do we do right now? First thing, this is the file we have saved here in this one in E drive, right? Let's just get into that. Where is it? I think E drive, go to E drive, Python free sessions, and then employee, this one. You try to select this. I'm showing you if you don't have an idea how to just get the full path. We need to get full path here because it is in a different directory. So generally using absolute or full path is always recommended so that you don't run into errors. This is very important for not only in Python, in any language. The important tip or point to remember, always try to use full path. You don't have a problem, right? So now anyhow, copy this, copy that full path, go to your program. First thing, step one, open a file. How do you open a file? This is step one. I'll give steps very clearly. Follow that step one. You can also work with me if you wish. So I'm just creating a file handler, emp file equal to open. That full here we have to pass, right? This open methods take multiple parameters, but we just need right. Just two are enough here for now. One is the file path, second one is the mode. That is enough for us. Paste it here. And then give the full, I mean, here it should be employee.txt. So what you have to do here, you have to just say employee.txt. So this is step one. Understood? And you can put double slash here in the files. Right. So this is step one. This is opening a file. And maybe you can, if you want, you can just add some mode here. You can see how many modes are there. When I just say comma, this IntelliSense is showing so much of help here. It is showing so much of help here. In this, what is that we need? Just if you pass read mode, that is enough. Right. So what you can do, or else it will open this file by default in write mode. By I believe default mode is a write mode. Excuse me, friends. Default mode is a write mode, friends. But still, if you want, as you are doing reading, you can just put R here. That is enough. That's it. So this is step one. What we are doing, opening file. And whichever the file you want to open, we have to pass full path of that file. And then the mode of that file. So this is what we should do. This is step one. So once you open file in read mode, and means this is opened in read mode, it helps us to read data from a file. Now, what is that step two? What is it step two? Read data from this file. For that, what you have to do, this file handler dot, you have to apply read. Directly you can apply read. Read is a default method. It doesn't take any parameter, but it reads the whole, it read whole data from the file and return that in the form of a string. What is the return type of read? If you put cursor here, you can see here any string. Any string means it returns a string. That is the meaning of that. This arrow mark represents return type. Okay, remember, friends. Okay. So now, and you can see it is showing here. Read is something abstract method at the rate abstract method. Right. So that's the idea. Hope you are clear. So what we do right now, this returns a string, assign it because Python don't have this data type, right? So we don't have a problem. Just assign it to some variable. That would be enough. So here you can say data equal to, or we can say for meaningful name emp data equal to emp file dot read. And this read method reads that whole data and assigns to this emp data. But now the question is, what is this variable? If you put cursor here, probably this will show you. You can see emp data is str. So this is IDE, right? If it is not IDE, if you are using Notepad, you don't know what data is this. But here, this is what this is IDE. It gives us intelligence. So if you put your cursor on this variable, it just shows you what would be the data. Here it is by default showing str string, means that this PyCharm knows about that. What this read method will return. But still, suppose if this is an IDE, so you are getting that help. Suppose you are not using IDE, then how do you see check what would be the data that is there in this variable EMP data? Just print type of that. That would be enough. Print simply type of EMP, type of what, friends? EMP data. When you print it, automatically you understand, right? When you print it, you you understand what type of data is EMP data. You can check the type of this EMP data by using type function. Then automatically you understand, okay, this is string data. If you just print it, that would be enough. Maybe the type of data is. Always giving meaningful prints, meaningful comments is always a good habit. Keep in mind, friends. So you start you doing this, opening a file. This is step one. Step two, reading data from a file, giving meaningful comments, and then meaningful print statements is always a recommended practice. That is very good practice. Okay, reading data from a file. That also enhances your vision towards programming. I'm just giving you a quick idea. Because of little laziness, we don't do that. I understand that. But my kind suggestion is practice this kind of things. So definitely that enhances your vision towards programming. Right. So next, the type of what is it? EMP data. I know it takes few seconds or minutes to do this, but still we need to practice and then just print it. I think we closed two, right? One, yes, that was B. And then two, yes, we closed both. Now, if you want, you can quickly run it, even though you didn't close it. Or else what, how much time does it takes to close? Simply, this might be some other step. We will add it, employee file dot close it. And then just print it to know what is the type of this EMP data. Suppose many people in the beginning, they don't try to understand all these things. Let me give you a clear idea. People just when you start learning file programming, what we do is how to open a file, how to read it, and how to print it and close it. But one thing is important in programming in any language. When you use read method, what is that? Is it a parameter? Is it that default? That you should understand. Second thing, what data that method is returning. You should understand all this. I am going a little deeper, I know, but still you should learn in this level. Then only it would be easy for you to go and implement in some project. Otherwise, that high level learning is not going to help you, friends. So what we should know when you are working with any method, let me give you a clear picture. Right, any method, any built-in method. Suppose read is there. Not if not read, it might be write. If not write, some other method. Always make sure when you are dealing with any methods, I'll write here. Otherwise, I'll give a like a tip kind of thing, points to remember. Okay, what is it? This is for your this thing only, friends. One, any method when you are using any built-in or user-defined methods. First, we should understand if it is parameterized or default. Keep this point in mind. Point to remember, right? So while using any method, right? Check what is that we should do. Check if it is default or check if it is. I'm trying to make more this thing for you, friends. Default or parameterized. This is one thing. Second thing, if it is default, don't pass any parameter. See, here read is a default method. Default means in these brackets, you don't pass anything. Then this is default. Don't pass anything. Parameterized means in this bracket, you should pass something. It expects some value. So that is parameterized. This is default. Just a quick idea. Okay, this is one thing. So check if it is default or parameterized. If it is default, don't pass value. If it is parameterized, pass value that is needed. Okay. If default, just call it. Okay, don't pass any value. Just call it. Come on, don't. I'm just giving you in just regular terminology, just a quick understanding terminology. Don't pass any value. This is one. Else, if it is parameterized, if parameterized, call it by passing value. If parameter, I'm giving you clear steps, points to remember. Call that method, call method. Otherwise, we can make to be more clear again that it sometimes it might confuse. What is that? It call method. Just call method. Don't pass value. If parameterized, call method. But what? By passing values. This is important. Even if it is default or if it is parameterized, whatever it is, friends, you have to just remember these points. Because see, you don't write code, but you need to understand the usage. This is where many of the learners don't focus in the initial. Of course, they learn it over a period of time after. But in the when you are doing it for the first time itself, if you try to go into these levels, then automatically a lot of your time will be saved. This is my just this thing concern. So this is another important thing, right? So see, what are these methods? Is it default method, parameterized? Default means just call it directly. Parameterized means just pass something to that. That is important. After that, what you should do? Again, two things are important with these methods. Are these methods returning something? Remember these points carefully, friends. This happens. I keep asking these questions again and again because that is needed. Now again, what is it? You have to see one more thing apart from checking this whether they are default or parameterized. If they return some data or if they don't return anything, that is also important. See, another important. If method returns, this is also important point to remember. If any function or method is returning a value, right? If any, what you have to see again, if any method, maybe you can call method or function, anything is fine. If any method or function, right? Right, returning a value. That is also a check you should do. If it don't returns, no problem, you can ignore it. If it is returning, assign it to some variable. Right, again, another important point. If function or method doesn't return value, we can ignore it. Doesn't return value. Okay, we can just so no problem. We can ignore. How to present it? If function doesn't return a value, no action is needed. Okay. Else, suppose if function returns, so this is the best statement. We don't need any action. We don't need to assign that function to any variable. That is what we call no action. I'll just make it more clear. No need to assign that function to. I don't write it again and again because these things are important. That is, I see there is a little struggle for new learners. So that's why I'm just trying to make sure how to work with built-in functions because we just started using more and more of built-in functions now. No need to assign that function to a variable because why that function is default and it is default, no need of assigning it to a variable. Otherwise, if it is if function is returning something, right, then we need to assign that variable to if function. All these are important. We already did discuss about functions. But still I'm trying to make more clear on these things, these very minute things. Suppose if function returns something, see here, if function return value, then we should assign that function to a variable. Assign that function or method to a variable. Okay. I know I'm taking some time here, but these are important things. So these are important points to remember, friends. Right? I'm just adding like that. So wherever that is needed, I just keep adding like this. So these are the things which always, when you are working with any built-in functions, these are important points to remember. I just try to type it in the live itself so that you get time to analyze what we are trying to discuss, and you have time to process that information. That's why I'm typing each and every point, friends. Okay, that is the idea. So now I'm just sharing this with you. These points are useful for you. Just see here. Okay, maybe you just keep it for you. Anyhow, if you want, I can share you the whole document. Not a problem. That's it. Now let us go and apply this. Let's jump into the action now, and let's just remember this point. Keep these things in mind so that we can apply here. You can see now this read is returning something. So we are assigning it to some variable. And then we are just checking. I don't know what is type of EMP data, just trying to know the type by applying type function here. Now run this quickly. Run this. We are not printing data again. We will do that now. Write this, print it. There is some issue here. It is saying emp file dot close. Maybe the indentation issue. You can see here. There is a slight indentation issue. Yeah. What we do is emp file dot close. Yes, we are closing. Opening is fine. Let's run it now again.
One more missing closing bracket.
Oh, where is that here? Huh?
The print statement, yeah.
Okay. It is showing with emp file. Okay, no problem. 1, 2. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, correct. Yes. Now run this. Now you can see here. The type of this is string. We already had discussed that. We see in the beginning itself, we try to come to know that. What is it? Read returns. It reads the whole data and return that in the form of a string. This is clearly discussed. I mean, this is clearly written here. So we know that. Now we followed these steps. We opened a file, read the file and close the file, but we didn't display the content. So let's apply this third step as well in this project. But before that, all other steps are clear, right, friends? Right. So can you please confirm in the chat box if you are clear with this all these steps? Right. You know why I ask is just to make sure we are all together. All of us are on the same page. That's all, friends. So hope you are clear with steps. Let's apply third step now. Let us get into the third step. But before that, again, I have a small doubt. If you are recording, yes. Now, what do we do right now? Shall we apply third step? You can guide me, friends. What shall I do now? Printing is so simple, right? Simply you can say print. You can just choose to print that variable directly. I know after doing so much of Python programming, these are very simple things for us. This is step 2 is done. Let's add a comment for step 3 as well. This is printing contents of our data from a file. This is printing, not reading. Just give a meaningful print, I mean comment. Or content from a file. You can name as you like. It's up to you, friends. And finally, at the end, step 4. Step 3 is this. And step 4, as per our algorithm, we are following a simple algorithm. Of course, it's not that sophisticated, but a simple algorithm. But what is step 4 we should do here? Step 4, close the file. Close the file. So these are the steps we need to follow while working with files. You can also implement it parallelly because I shared data with you Now you can just open your PyCharm and test all this. And I give a clear idea how to play with these paths. Make sure whenever we are passing some path here, like suppose this is another important point to remember. Let me give you a clear picture. So what is it? I already discussed this point, but again, just to make sure we don't have a confusion. Especially again, important point to remember. I'm adding here about these are important things. Point to remember. And I'm writing again just to make sure. What is that about paths? Suppose this is your path, friends. Let me just copy here. Why I'm trying to share this all these very minute things because I faced struggle in the very beginning days. These small things are big issues for me. So that's why, because I know what would be a problem for a new learner when you start programming, right? So I'm trying to share all that from my experience, whatever the struggle, I mean, the issues I faced, so that you can easily, overcome those issues. So here, if you see here, this is the path. Generally, this is how the path of any file looks like. But when you are passing to your program, not only in Python, any language, if you go to C, C++, Java, C Sharp, you have to apply double slash. It is actually escape sequence. When you pass two slashes, it just accepts one here. That's how this escape sequence works. Okay. So when you are passing any full path like this, then make sure what is that you should do. You add one more slash to that path here. You can see here. This is actual path. You can see. But when you are passing it as a path in a code like this, okay, anywhere, then what you should do, you should just you should make a slight change here. What is that slight change? To pass it to a file or to pass it as a path in a code, you should just apply a double slash and pass it. Remember this. Okay. So important point to remember again. This is actual path and how it has to be in code. In code, how it should be in code or program. This is how it look actually, and in code it has to be like this. Remember this point. Okay, that's another important point, friends. Okay, let's get into the program now. So this is the idea. Now we are applying step 3 here, and then we are printing the data. Let's run this now. All other steps are familiar to you. By now, after listening this many times, by now you should be. So you should feel this comfortable, right, friends? So what you do right now, just let's run this now. You can see this is data. This is a string data. Suppose I want data at line 1 or line 2, line 3. I cannot get it. This is a string. But of course, the string is in the form of what? Some rows. Excuse me, friends. You can see this is employee data. Now I want to print it. But if we can view like this as a single this thing in a single this output. Right? Now again, you might ask me a question, Manoram, can we split this data and see like how it look like? Row wise, you ask me a question. Your requirement is this. What is your requirement? Now the question from you is I'm adding it so that you don't have a problem, right? You can add here or there. So once we read data after this, you can see. Let me add this. What is your question now? Question is, I'm just giving you each and everything very clearly. So once you print data, once you read and print data from a file, you especially when you use read method. When you use read method, it reads whole content and returns in the form of a string. It might have 1,000 lines, 1 lakh lines of data in the file. You get all that data in a string form, but in all cases that is not needed. That it won't work in all cases. Why? Here, this is employee data. We need row wise data, suppose. Then what should you do? You have to split it and you have to split by row and iterate it. You understand now? So or you want column wise data like all employee numbers in one this thing, all employee name in one thing, all salary in one thing, all gender in one thing, all this one department number in one thing. So in that, even in that case also you have to do some processing. So till this is file operations. Then in a real programming, what people do, once you read that content, this kind of processing is needed. What is it? Either you want row wise data or column wise data. In this program, which is best thing, getting row wise data or column wise data? Can you please answer in the chat box as per your opinion? Which is the best approach here? Should we access this row wise, or should we split this? Otherwise, the exact word, should we split this row wise or column wise? Please answer in the chat box. Please share your opinion so that we will do that accordingly. Right? Can you please share that your opinion in the chat box? What we do right now, we read data, that is fine, but still there is a further processing. You might ask a question, Manora, we want to see some processing here on this data. This is the whole thing is a string, right? We want it to be split, right? How you want to split? Please share your opinion in the chat box. We try to work on that. So what's your answer, friends? So you give me the problem. I will work on that. So you can just say row wise or random thing. Just think and tell me how we want to split it. Should we split it column wise? Should we split it row wise? Just please let me know. Share your opinion in the chat box. I think all of you friends, no problem. Harish or anyone, Raja or Sunita or Santosh, just share your this thing column wise. More I see majority of the answers is coming as column wise. That is the right thing as well, because we can split this here. When if you should split this data, we need some delimiter and comma is there, and column wise is the best choice. Let's do that now. So why I am just trying to show all this is, here we are covering multiple things. One thing is applying all steps to process file. Second thing, once we read that we read that data, what kind of operations we can do on files, what kind of operations we can do on that data. So you can also try with me. It's a good exercise. It's a small project we are doing here. So what do we do right now? Simply, this is your string data. Right, let's do some processing here. Generally recommended to implement a function here. I'm just giving you an idea how to implement coding. If you really apply this, this is going to help you a lot in real programming. This is how we build code, even in a code. So what we do here, to do that file processing, better use a function. Create one simple function, def, right? So process, you can see here, process, use the method name as emp data. Generally, right? Maybe you can put some underscore after each word. So this is our function now, and colon. So what you have to do is, if you want to split data, right, just do one thing here. So you just take some variable. What you should do now, this is employee data, right? This is part of your file processing, right? You already read this. So apply a split on this. How do you apply this acts as a global variable, if I'm not wrong. It acts as a global variable. So you can directly use it in the function here. Or else we can pass it as a parameter. Of course, take one parameter here, emp data, and then what you should do now, you have to apply a split on this. So this is how you should build, break down your program. So here, what we are doing here is, we are creating a function to process what? To process file data. here we are not just only working on files, also learning how to implement that further steps after reading data from a file. Just giving you that heads up. Right. So now create a function like this. Okay. Next, apply split here. How do you apply split? Something like you can just like, employee details. You can just take some variable equal to emp data dot. You can see here because this is just what is it here? You are not seeing that split method here. Why we can't apply split here? Because just for as of now, this function don't know what data is coming to this. That's why we are not able to apply split here. You got it, friends? So, but no problem. But we need to do the processing, right? We need to do the processing. How do you do that? So what I do is, let me try to call this function. We have to call it either from here at the end, otherwise. So here we have to apply some split. It won't work. Split won't work because we'll do one thing then. So this is actually in function scope. Let me just do one thing. You can just take one global variable. Can just assign some none or something. None means nothing. It just then we can use a variable data here, and then you can use it directly. I don't know. This has to work as a global variable. Just a minute, friends. Why it is not function can use it, but still. Okay, let's remove this and apply. Now you can see here. Okay, this is why, because I put a local variable. This local variable is overwriting, right? What it is doing is overriding this global EMP data. No need of this one now. Not needed. Even that is not needed because this is in the global scope by default. Once you declare here, this variable, whatever employee data acts as a global variable, so that this can be accessed by any function. So no need of using passing parameter. Let's use that directly in the function itself. Now apply split on this. Once you get it, apply split. Split by what? Split by comma. And then you for just for testing purpose, what you can do, I can run a debugger, but for you, it's easy to use prints. I'm declaring a print statement, right? So that's the quick idea. Got it right? So what is the issue here? I tried to have a local variable. Local variable tried to overwrite this global. That's why as this is local, your interpreter doesn't have idea about that local until you pass some value to this. So it's not going to decide type of that until this some data is passed that variable. So that's why it's not showing that method list on that variable. I hope that's clear, right? So, but problem is, right, we cannot see apply any functions, built-in functions there. So I removed that. So finally, this is a string type, so we are able to see that split method here. Hope you are clear, right? Why we are able to see means there is a little ambiguity between this local variable here and global variable here. So that is the problem. So we removed it. Now we are good. Now this is accessible throughout the code. So we applied split with by comma. You can see why we split by comma, because here we already discussed string functions. Now print that. That's enough. And you just call it either here or anywhere. No problem. After your program, you can call this function after your program as well. It's up to you. So save it. It's showing error might be because we are calling before. Call it after. You call it here. Okay, you can see now. Now error. If you put here, you are seeing error. Why? Because it's out of scope here. You can see here. That's why you can just remove this here. This call here. These are all everything we do here. It's a learning for us, right? So that's the idea, friends. Now come here. And then call this method. What this will do just gives us after split how would be the data. So we just try split it will split all these values, the string and assigns to EMP details. But how that data look like inside EMP details, we'll see. This acts as a list now. When you apply split, usually the return type of split will be a list. You can see here. See, if you want understanding API is also very important. That's why every time I am trying to show you, whenever we are applying a built-in function, what that built-in function is, what it is returning. I am trying to show you all this. If you want to become a good Python, any programmer, then understanding these basics is very much necessary. You can see the return type of this is list. You can see here. So by default, it will split and store the data in the list. This employee details is by default, it will be a type of list here. You can see. See, when I put my cursor on this, it is showing this as a list here. See, observe this carefully. Now run this now. We call this method at the bottom, right after method. So let's see what data would be coming from this EMP details. Let's see that now. Run this. You can see here. It try to split like this: employee number, employee name, salary, gender, all this. You can see here. It split that data like this. Split by comma. But here, which is first row, which is second row, we don't know. Again, what you have to do? You have to do a processing there. Understood now? Again, you have to, one is splitting by this thing. Another one, split by space. That is the best thing. You get row wise data. Let's do that. You get a clear picture now. You can see now. If I split by space, what you are getting same thing, but what? It converted the whole data into a row. Now again, you have to do one more split. This is actually the end, right? You can do some processing. Wherever you see that door number, after that you have to apply a split. This is how you have to do processing, friends. Okay, that's the idea. Got some clarity now. So which one should we follow? When you apply split directly, it is converting everything, each and every value into some, each and every this thing into a value. From the string, each thing is converted into a value in list here, right? Better you do like this, and then now what you do from this string, I mean from this list, again do one more thing. You try to break down till this, right? Wherever you have this, what is this department number? Wherever you have department number, split by department number. And here also you can see here somewhere, where is department number? You have one more, this one, right? This one, wherever that new line. So here new line, right? Yes. You don't need even this, friends. Sorry, I think I missed forgot that long time. See, when you are doing split, if you want row wise data, better thing is you can see now after this there will be enter new line. Try to learn all this, friends. It might be little, you need little patience to listen and grab this, but these are all very useful things for you. What you have to do, I think the previous two occurrences, I think that wasn't a right approach. Whatever I did in the past two cases, that wasn't right approach. But actually, after seeing this new line, I concluded that we should do one thing. What is it? We have to split by new line so that we get data row wise here. So what we should do is just simply do one thing. Apply new line so that what happens? You get row wise data. Let's run this now and show you. Now you can see this from employee. This is first row. This is second row. This is third row. Now I think we got some reasonable data here. You can see here. So this is how we can apply splits on this. But what is the split you should follow in this case? When you have huge data like this, and if you want to split it line by line or row by row, apply new line here. New line we don't see here, but it will be implicitly included in the file. And based on that, what you do, you can apply a split. Once you do that split, all that rows are split and stored into the list like this. You can see here. Again, you have to do processing. Again, you have to do processing like how if you want row by row, if you want to see row by row, what you should do? Again, you should iterate this list here. If you want to see row by row, iterate the list here. How do you iterate it? Something like for this, we can use for thing here for some row in, or you can say EMP row for more meaningful names. In EMP details colon, what you have to do? Print row. Print EMP row. As of now, I am not adding comments. We can add it later. But for now, I'm just trying to show you. So once you split, see, these are the steps. What are the steps now? Once we get that data from file and we want to split that data as per this thing, we want it each row separately. If you want each row separately, then you have to apply split on that this string. And that split, you have to choose that delimiter. Is it by comma? By looking that comma here, we did this. We applied comma, but found that we are getting a plenty of values here. Each separated comma gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then each row 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 into 5, we get 25 values here. That is not a good approach. We need row wise data. We have to split row wise, not I mean like each thing like separately. So that's so then I try to apply what second scenario. Scenario one applied by comma. That is not a right approach. Second thing, what did I apply? I tried to split by space. We don't have a space delimiter, but even then it is not giving us expected results. So what did I do? The third case, I tried to apply new line. New line gave me some better output here. You can see here. So this helps me to process it further. Why? Now I have this header here and then each row separately. Based on that, we try to what we can do. We can split and process it. I hope you are clear with all this, friends. Right. So this is one approach. Are you clear now? Now I'll give another task here. See, there is a lot of learning. See, programming is nothing but you just keep on applying your thought process. That is what that helps you to become a good programmer. And this is a small project itself by the nature of itself. But you get here, right? This is how we have processed. Right. So now even here, what we did now, we just applied a small processing, just applied a split and then try to process it row by row here. When you apply by new line, all that data is split by new line and stored in the form of each row is stored as a one string here. See, this whole row is one string again. This whole row is again one string. This whole row is again one string. This whole row is again a string. Again, there is a question. Then how do we split again this row? Again, see Manoram, we want it to be split according to value, employee number, employee name, salary, gender, department number. What we do? If you are, see, I will show you that as well. Is that okay for you? If you want me to go and show you, or shall I switch to the next method of files? It's up to you. What shall I do now? Right. Record wise read of n. Yes, read of n is different. Definitely somebody is giving shared some output. Yeah. Harish is saying read of n. Read of n is a different thing. We have to apply a separate method. Right. We'll when we go there, we will apply that. So till this, are you good, friends? So finally, what did we do now? We have applied all steps of file. That is one thing. And then once whatever file we read, we process that data. By next one, and we try to print it, split it, and iterate that data. Now you have a small use case here. These are all important things. So question is what? That question is I'm just adding here. So data, we want to split data. This is the question actually. According to row. This is the question. Okay, you want it to split it row, or otherwise another scenario is, this is one thing. Scenario two is you want to store data. So now after we do this, this is another important task for you. This is actually a task list. What is it? Store each column. So what you have to do, split and store each column into a separate list. What we should do, into a separate list. So already we did one step, one level is completed to do that. So each column into separate list means like this. This is the data. Em, em, employee number into one employee number into one list. All employee numbers. All employee names into one list. This is actually a small coding project for you. And salary, all salaries into one list. Here, whose salary is what? Again, we don't get that. We are just trying to merge all into list like this. This is the task for all of us. Okay. And then gender into one list. Right. All genders. This is the coding task for everyone. And then similarly, door number. All door number into one list. This is another level down. One level is splitting according to row is one level. Second level is again trying to store each column into a separate list like this. So this is another step two, another level down. So you have to do this. So what do you want me to do? Do you want to take it as assignment and work on it, or do you want me to show you, friends? Whatever you want me to do, I'll do that. So let us finish the current one. So just please quickly give your opinion, friends. Based on that, I would do that. Shall I show you how to go and do this for you, or you want to take it as assignment? Already till this, I try to show you different things, how you can work with files and how to read that data and then split it and then do processing on that. So please share, please everyone. Do you want me to go little further with go with further steps? Please share your opinion. We'll do accordingly. I got answer from Raja. How about okay? Then let me show you. These are all important learnings. So simple. Now till this it's clear, right, friends? Can you please confirm if you are clear till this, or am I trying to give more? You know, with this more information, are you getting confused? No, right? So now, once we get this, see, when you are working with any project or any program, we have to go level by level. In this, we try to split by row, and each row acts as a list string here. Now you have to process each row. Now what we do, let's print. We have this data. Now run this now. See, if you run it, you get row by row here. Here, when you look here, this whole data is a string till this. Now after that we split, you can see here that each row converted to string here in this list. You can see we have 5 rows altogether, and each value here is a string here. Each row is a string, and we have 5 values here in this string, in this list. Sorry. How many values are there in the list? You have to, if you look at the length of that string, it shows 5, means each row acts as one value, and that too, this whole row is one string. Now again, what you should do, you have to split this. You have to split row wise. You can see here. This is one row, this is one row, this is one row, this is one row, like that. And according to that, you have to split it and try to store that values into columns. First one is always, what is it? Employee number. Second one, employee name. Third one, salary. Fourth one, gender. Fifth one, department number. And based on that, you have to split and store into the respective what friends, a list here. So here I have give the, we have the problem statement here. What is the problem statement? Once we split that data according to rows, we have to store each column into a separate list. That is the problem statement. So instead of question, maybe you can make this as a problem statement, right? So this is, we can add it in the code itself directly. So the here at the beginning itself, you can just update here. So step 1, and this is task 2. Now what we do, just copy all this five lists here. Again, these declarations are needed if you want to split and store that data according to column wise. So what you should do, how many variables should we declare here? We should declare 5 global variables, or declare all them as globals. Okay, declare at the beginning itself so that we can access them throughout your code. So employee, this is, just assign it properly. There is a small typo here. Yeah, this is good. This looks good. Now what did I do? Just for storing column wise data, I created 5 lists. For employee number 1 list, for employee name 1 list, salary 1 list, gender 1 list, department number 1 list. So comment is, so this is the solution we are creating. Comment is create a separate list for each column. So that's what we are doing. Fine. Now what we have to do, step 1, this is completed. So this will split what this is doing here. This is splitting data according to row here. When you apply new line, it splits data according to row. That's what this is doing at this line in the code. I'm giving you, see, I'm trying to make sure every step is self understandable here, right? By looking at that comment itself, you understand that. Then we are printing it. And here, what we are doing here, that print anyhow, I'm not just adding any comment. If you want, you can add that as well. Here, iterating, what we are doing, iterating that data, iterating EMP details, means row by row here, because the you know, right, how it look like we have observed in the output, right? The next one is we have to split this each row, each value from the list, and then add that to the, to what we should add. We have to add it to list here according to column. Employee number as one column, all employee numbers into one column, all employee names into one column. So that is what we are doing now. Further, we are going a level down now to get that list of data here. So what you have to do, on each employee row, you should apply a split here again. So now what you have to do is, so there is, you can just write like this. You can take one more EMP row. This is your, when you iterate that employee details, this is the list, right? So when you iterate list, already we had discussed this. It gets value by value. When employee details has all this whole list is there. Now when you are iterating, it will try to process each row value by value. For first time, we try to, it will read this value and then print it. Second time, it will read second row or second this string and print it. You are following right here. This whole row is treated as one string. You can see a single quote at the beginning, at the end means this whole data is one string. It's not like we have. It won't treat this as like five values here. This whole string is one value. That's all. Maybe we have to again split it and then get expected output. Okay. Clear now? Now. Okay. Now what you do right now? Split this employee row. Employee row dot. We are going a level down. We are applying a split on this row here. Okay. Employee row dot what friends, apply a split, and then by what, by you have to split by comma and then assign it to some employee values. You can put it as emp values equal to. Now this will split and store each value independently. Now what you should do, now here we have to come and start assigning those values to list here. How it look like, I'll just show you here. Let me just try to print this. This is also a list now. Once we split and again assign to this employee values, but this is a list, but this list look like this. We are just drilling down a level down. Okay, drilling a level down here. You can see here employee values. What we do now, when you print the employee values, after you do a second split on row. So you can see employee values, how it look like. Let's run this now. Run this. Now you see after I apply this split on employee row, this time you see a difference here. This is the another output. Now there is again a row, but this time you can see we have employee name as different, employee name is different, salary is different. These values again you can see now every this thing is stored as a separate value. You can see now they are not stored as that whole row is not stored as one string, but all that is stored into five strings here. Means we have split it and storing each value separately here. You can see that when you look at the output itself, you understand that. Are you following, friends? Is this clear till this? Now what you have to do? Now this is time for us. What we have to do? We have to use that list and append each value according to that. You know the order here. The first one is employee number, second one is employee name, third one is employee salary, fourth one is gender, fifth one is department number. Now our job becomes easy. What you have to do? So now come here. You have to store from the list to this, from this list, existing list to, you have to assign each value to this individual column list here. All employee numbers we should push to employee number. All employee name we should push to employee name. How you do that here? Once you do a split and separate values like this, what you have to do? Let's start adding each one to this. How do you add it? And here itself you have to do that. Here itself you have to do that. Okay, how do you do that? Simple. When you are doing, because this is a column wise split. Once you split once you split that row and you get all different column values here, and those columns we have to copy to this list here according to that columns. How do you do? Already we created empty list here. I'm just trying to trying to be very clear. So what you should do now here, employee number. First I am start adding, because the first one is which, what is that list? The first list is you can see in all this, the first value is a employee number. So I am adding all first values to employee number. You got it right. But for that to do, right, there are two possibilities. You can see here. Let me give you explanation in the this one. This is your list after separating values. Now, if you want to assign all these values to this list here, column wise list. All right, what you should do, either we can choose index to extract each value. What is that you should do? Choose index to extract each value. This is, you know, right? List has index. It has, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. We can assign each value according to index, but this is a static approach. Right? We know this list has index. We can use that index like this one, right? Employee values, we can choose EMP values of what? Values of 0, again value of 1, and then you can as I append this value to that column list, employee 1 like this, dot dot dot. But this is not a dynamic approach. If you choose index, it won't work. It's not dynamic approach. Why? Suppose over a period of some time later, your column size increased. And again, you have to come to code and you have to make changes according to that column size. But you should create a dynamic approach. You should have a dynamic approach to your problem, not a static approach. If you try to add like, if you for us just choosing index and trying to append that data to this columns is this list is easy. How? Let me just show you so you get some idea. Employee number dot, right? This is the list here. You can see these are the lists which we created. These are global lists, so we can access throughout the code. Now I am trying to add each value of from this. This is your row with separated values. This is a list with separated values, right? Now we can simply say employee number dot append of. This is our actual list with the separated values here. You can see here each value gets separated from that row. Now we can simply say employee values of 0, again employee values of like this. You can try to append like this. Again, you can do this, but this is a static approach. What approach? Let me just do this. Employee, again, one more is employee name dot append. What you can do, employee name dot append of 1. All that values in the first index are employee names. By looking at this structure of your data, you can easily understand. All values in the 0th index is employee number. All values in the first index is employee name. All values in this this one. Third index is salary. Based on that, as we are, this structure doesn't change. This is a fixed structure, right? So what you have to do, you have to assign append those values to this list like this, because we already discussed data structures. This is like a revisit for you of those data structures. Right, I try to assign what 0 to or employee number, whatever that is there in this list, and first value into employee name, and second like that you can just start appending. And third one is a salary. You can see here sal dot. This is one approach I am just showing you. Let me show you. Append of what is it? You can just copy this and paste here. But this is not a recommended practice, but this will somehow give you the solution. And similarly, you can apply what? And then gender dot. Let us go step by step. No, let's not hurry. And finally, last one, department number dot append of what? Employee values of 4. You know all this we had discussed earlier. Of 4. Right? So finally, what did we do? We are able to do processing of a file properly. We are able to open file and read content and then split that data into 2 different levels. And finally, we are we are successful in splitting that data, column wise. So now you can print it outside. So what you can do, once you do this, once you append here, automatically all those values to add it here. These are global variables, so no problem. Now print one by one. Print what you want to print now. So the first one, the employee number is, you can just apply like this. Simply, you can just apply dot format and then print that list, employee number list. Similarly, print remaining list so you can see view all that output. Make sure you have a proper this thing here. Not sure what happened. Let just a minute. Let me put bracket here. Because of that, it's showing error. Similarly, second one. I'll just show you for 2. You can try for remaining as well, because it's same for 2 or 3 or anything, right? So second, let's run this and see now quickly what would be the output here. Here, close this, of course. That's why we have this error below. Now, what we are doing here? We are splitting row wise and then storing as appending data according to column wise. That's what we are doing by reading from which list? By reading from EMP values list. So this is what we are doing at this method's doing. Now run this now. Run this. Now you can also print remaining, but let's test it quickly. Now you can see now all employee numbers are pushed to this list. All employee names are pushed to this list. Right. Similarly, if you want, you can just print remaining so that you can see the other data. Just giving a quick idea. Did we accomplish the task here? Did we accomplish that processing now, file processing properly? This is how it will be. Reading file is one thing, and then on top of that you have so much of this. You can see now we created a simple mini project here. This is a mini project, you can assume. Hope you are clear. Following, friends? I know this. We can use index, but index is not dynamic approach, Harish. Remember, Harish is suggesting me index. Okay, this is easy to do, but this is not dynamic approach. I'll come up, we will fine tune this after this, step by step, right? So now print all that and just see the output. This is a proper mini project for us in Python. Why? I will talk about it. I'll just show you how much of coverage is there in this, how many topics we touch based in this particular small project. Okay, what is that? We touch based again a list concept. Again, we touch base string concept, applying split on that, and then we touch base iterations for loop. We applied function. See how many topics we have touch base now. We involved all this again. So let's print it. Of course, employee name and then salary. I print that salary list and then gender list, and then finally what? Last one is what? This department number list. Okay, and then print it. You can view it. Now this time we just made expected this thing here. There is we need to modify the name, this text here. The sal is, this gender is, and then see, this is programming is, once you get into that, it will be very interesting. There will be a lot of questions. To answer each question, you just need to think like an algorithm or a machine. So your mind has to convert to a machine kind of approach, where you need to just have that passion. Okay, what happens after this? That curiosity. You have to build that. Then automatically you don't feel like you are doing some programming. You feel like you are just playing something. See. So this is a mini project for us. What this is doing, this has file handling, all file operations it is covering, and reading that data. Now you should be very clear with read method, how and what it returns and how to apply split on that. Right. So now you got it right. So this is the final solution, friends. You can see now. So finally, we are able to split. How we are able to split it? Column wise. This is the end target, right? That is what we asked. Column wise data. When I asked in the beginning, how would we want this data? We want it to split column wise. That's your answer. And finally, did we achieve that? Are you able to split data column wise and pushed it to this here? You can see. Maybe you can ask me, Manoram, we don't want this in the beginning, that employee number, all that headings we don't want. We just only want without that. Simply you can remove it. That is one choice. Else in the beginning itself, we can skip that particular row. Not a problem. Again, you need to write a little code for that. What you should do, you have to again apply a code for that. So it's all about tuning step by step. Hope you are clear. Understood, friends. I'm just sharing this code with you. You can also use it as a reference, but don't just run it, but try to implement it yourself, friends. This is for today. But what we do? Tomorrow we'll see how you to apply read line and then read method of n and read lines, all this one by one. And at the same time, how to convert your code to a dynamic this thing. This is actually a static approach. And we have to convert this to dynamic approach. In that way, in that case, right, what you have to do, again, you should iterate this each values here. So you should not directly append like this. So if you want to make it a dynamic code, simple one more, you have to just drill down one more step here. What is that? So here we apply a split, that is plain. We applied split according to row. And here what we are doing, just adding a comment here. I'm just adding a comment. Now you don't need this. Of course, this print is not needed. Split data according to value. This is the previous one is according to row, according to column. Just put as call because each value is a call there. Fine. So what you should do now, you should iterate this. This one instead of appending like this, iterate it. While iterating, you can append same thing, just small change. Let me just show you how to make it more a dynamic code. I know we just need few minutes just to make sure how to convert this to a dynamic code. Simply instead of choosing indexes like this, because we know the structure of that. This is a structured data. The structure of this data is fixed, so we don't have a problem with that. And that to list is always preserves that insertion order. If it is set or dictionary, we have a problem, but we are using list. List doesn't change the order. Remember, list don't change the order. Now, simply what you do, just apply iterator on this list. So what you do, see here, let me just show you. So for values in EMP values, okay, colon. So what you have to do? So this is for you, Haris, exclusively for you. So how to get a dynamic code? Okay. So now here, what you should do is simply first one is always employee number. Remove this index. Now you change your structure dynamically. Still, this will work. Just add that particular print. That particular this thing here. Enough. The first one is values. Just pass it directly. Second one again values only. So here it will just iterate value by value, right? Just a minute, friends. First time it will try to add this employee number. So we have to go. So there is again slight logic processing. Yes, we cannot directly pass values. Why? The first one is employee number. Okay, we added it. Second time we should wait for seconds. I mean now again it will iterate one more time and get that employee name. So what you should do now? You have to just check that first value. Okay, based on your first value in this you can see, right? Because the first value gives you heading. You can choose this as a filter value. So what you can do, you can simply apply a small condition check here to make it dynamic. What is it? If again, I'm just doing a validation for you. See, value, I'm just using value. This is the dummy variable. You can just compare it with the equal to first one is what is it? Employee number. So you can get it. The start value is employee number. Even in this case, okay, no problem. I'll do one thing. Let's stop here. I'll prepare a code and again, it takes time. So not to waste much time, I'll do one thing. I'll just create that code and come back in tomorrow's session and show you. But this is not right approach using indexes directly. What you have to do? You have to always choose a dynamic approach. For now, let us leave it as is and stop here. I'll come back with a more dynamic approach. We'll just refine this and come back into a dynamic approach. Instead of using indexes, how do we iterate each this rows. How do we iterate rows and then assign that value according to the column that we should do one by one in tomorrow. I'll show you that in tomorrow's session. We'll create it and combine. So this is all about it. So I believe we had a mini project and then we covered many of these file related issues along with touch basing many other things. Are you clear now? So that's it, friends, for today. Any more questions? Please stay back, else we'll connect back tomorrow. Tomorrow, not tomorrow. We'll connect back next week, I believe. Hope you had a clear idea. Maybe if you want, I can ask quick questions before we just close this session. Uh, so what are these different important file methods we had discussed today? What file methods we had discussed today? By I think that become I don't think you forget it quickly. We know, right? We all these file functions. What is that? To open file we use open.
Open, read.
Yeah, read, close. To write
Yeah.
it. So all this might become more, what shall we say? It become hands-on for you if I'm not wrong. Correct, Sunita or Santoshi or Raja? Is it hands-on to you now? I know we did a lot of internal coding. You might think why all this, but this is all useful to you. Every time it increases your thought process. Maybe the important thing is instead of me, if you can try this, this will be much more useful for everyone. But no problem. Maybe I'll give more projects. I'll do one thing. Next time, like how I just added in the WhatsApp group today, I'll try to give you those projects into these are dynamic. Sometimes we come up with dynamic thing. No problem. Hope we'll connect back next week and just keep attending, friends. That's it. Thank you. Any questions? Should I stay back? No, right? Seems like no, I know this thing means no questions. Thank you. Have a great weekend and we'll catch up again.